coming today, so that's exciting.
Many people.
Mr. Mitchell, you on yet, big fella?
I'm here.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
100%. Excited to have you.
You don't have to. It's not important. We just need to listen.
Hi, Amber. Jocelyn or Nicole, if you can make sure you mute everybody but Jason, that would be great. Just so we don't have to hear everything. Couple of reminders to get started. Everybody that attends the call or let us know that they could not attend but got to us, we're going to be sending the recording out right after this. There'll also be some other what I call Jason Mitchell tactical tidbits that will come with that because you're going to enjoy today. We'll give everybody just a minute or two to make sure they get logged in, and then we'll kick it off. We will have 3 to 5 minutes at the end for everybody to ask questions. And you will have questions because we're blessed to have the largest team in the United States as our co-host today. How are we doing in the waiting room, Jocelyn and Nicole? Can we start and let everybody kind of catch people up as they come in?
Okay.
Yep, you can start.
Perfect.
I'm still admitting, but go ahead
Got
and
it.
start.
No problem. All right. So one of the things that happens, guys, as you get older, and I'm speaking of myself, I had the great pleasure of meeting Jason before he was who he was. Jay, was probably 11 years ago, 10 years ago, we sat in that bar in Churchill's.
Well, I met you before that. You were just so high level, you didn't even recognize when I was in the room back then. So it was about 16 years ago, but Churchill's was probably a decade ago.
Okay, a decade ago. Well, you had just started growing your team. You were the #1 single agent at the time in Scottsdale and really Arizona for volume, but you were starting to grow your team. And, you know, I look back on a guy who was just a hard. Right. I don't know. Whatever.
So,
Steve, you're on mute.
Don't mute me, guys. Mute everybody else. There you go. Good job. The reality was, when I met Jason, it was not an easy ride for him to get to where he was. He came from Detroit, came here, became a single agent, worked harder, faster, sharper than everybody else, then started to build a team and really wanted to understand how that worked. And once he built the biggest team in the state of Arizona, he had a number of what we would call influence partners, people like a Rocket Mortgage, a USAA, a Zillow, who said, hey, if you would expand, we could help in other markets if you wanted to do that. His whole journey started where you literally put yourself on mute. Thanks.
I'm very sorry about that. Hold on.
Well, that was you. I thought that was something else. You're okay.
Nope, it's my fault. I'm sorry.
So today he's the largest team in over 10,000 transactions. Is that me or somebody else?
Someone's got it on speakerphone.
Yeah, don't do that. Okay. And the reality is watching how people grow.
Alan, buddy, Alan Cash, you got guys, please be respectful here. Put yourself
on mute. Yeah. If you come on, hit the mute button. There you go. The reality is watching him grow and do what he does. And I'll argue, Jason, I think you're probably still in the 4th inning at 10,000 transactions, the biggest team in the United States, the top 5 privately held brokerages now, which is crazy to me from where you come from, what you've done. So kind of give folks a little bit of a kind of the journey for you from your perspective as the founder, the CEO, and what I would call the boat builder in this whole ship you've built.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me again. I think for us, what it came down to is I recognized very early what the market was turning into. And you would argue, I don't even know if it's an argument, but we really pioneered the B2B model many, many years ago. And when I say B2B, what I mean by that is working with partnerships to expand your business, whether that's as an individual agent or as a team or a broker. And so now more than ever, and in the future even greater.
Are you on mute?
Am I?
We
No,
can
you're good.
hear
I got you. We
No,
got
we
I
you.
got
hear
you.
you.
We got you.
And in the future, even greater, because what used to be when I got in the business in 2002, you needed a real estate agent to connect you to a lender, to provide you with their search engine, right? Like, which was at the time, I mean, just the MLS. Come into the office. Let me show you some printouts. You know, I see Mr. Cadwell on the call, who's part of our group and a partner of mine in Oregon. Great guy. He can tell you, like, you used to have to look at MLS printout sheets and said, hey, here's a picture. Do you want to go see this one? Right. I mean, back in the day, the agent was the facilitator of all things. Now, fast forward to 2010, I got offered an opportunity to work with a company called, now it's called Rocket. Probably heard of them. And I had the opportunity because I was from Detroit. And what I started to notice as I worked with them was the consumer was starting to go to lending and to search first. We were not first. So my whole thesis was, how can I partner with people that have deal flow to grow our business, to grow my business? And luckily, I was right. And so as I started to build our company,
Okay.
I started-
Oh, down at the bottom. Where
Please
the
put
slide
yourself
takes
on
the-
mute if you're talking.
Okay. Turn it on. I'm telling you, it's clicked. Like,
Melanie, thank you. God. Go.
So as we started to build, we built our whole philosophy around servicing other partnerships. This year, we'll drive around 50 billion in referral volume from partners across the country. But what really has transpired, if you haven't paid attention, organizations are owning the funnel for the consumer. So from lending to search, you got Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com and search. You have Rocket, Veterans United, a lot of other big lending companies that the consumer are going to those organizations first. And then those organizations have their networks and panels of trusted agents that they give business to. And it's only going to get bigger. Everything that's consolidating is leading to taking a consumer and getting a piece of every part of the transaction, from search to lending to referral fees from real estate to title to insurance to servicing. That is the future. Luckily, we were ahead of the curve, and our company services many of the largest lenders and search companies. But the reality is, there's plenty of business out there if you're willing to go get it. If you're willing to find avenues to partner with people, groups, organizations, companies providing HR benefits, apartment complexes providing tenant rewards programs. There's so many things you can do in your own local market to grow your business for yourself and for your agents, that when you start to think out of the box, a lot of things can really happen. And so that is our specialty. Our specialty is working with team leaders to give them a great compensation model to grow their agents, to grow their own economics, and of course, opening new markets to partner with people to do so. It's been an awesome journey. You know, we're on pace this year to do about 14,000 transactions, give or take, and open a lot more markets. So we're super excited, and I'm happy to be here to kind of give you a little world on how to do it. How to do it's one thing, execution is another thing.
Well, Jay, let's talk about this, because for you to do what you did, you had to create the same consumer experience you had in Arizona, in LA, in Atlanta, in Oregon, in Washington, in Texas. So you had to put your infrastructure and tech stack and communication panel in play. And that's not an easy thing to do. So talk about how you kind of realized, if I don't create the same consumer experience, I'm not going to get these orders in these other markets as I've done in Arizona.
Well, and that holds true even in your local market. The universal SOPs are so important because all of your agents need to be working on the same platform, the same standard of excellence. So when you update your leads, when you join meetings, like the sporadic stuff does not work if you want to scale. So, and Mr. Cadwell here can testify. If we have a meeting in Seattle, that same meeting's being held in Miami at the same time on the same day, twice a month, right? When we talk about updating leads, it doesn't matter if you're in New York, Oregon, Chicago, Michigan, at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, you get a reminder to update your leads. Everything is done with consistency. Now, I think we still have a long way to go. Most would argue that we're probably further ahead than others, but the reality is we're always striving for excellence. But everything we do is based on a universal approach with everything, not some things, everything. Albuquerque can't be ran differently than Vegas. Vegas can't be ran differently than Phoenix. And if you're in your own local market and you're looking to expand your footprint, all of your agents need to understand exactly what they're responsible for when you talk about accountability. You know, we expect you to update your leads in 24 hours. We expect you to update your portals once a week. We expect you to be in attendance to these meetings. But as you start hosting these things, there's agendas. So in the second meeting of the month, here's the agenda. This is what we cover. This is what we discuss. On the first meeting of the month, this is the agenda. This is what we discuss. This is what we cover. And then you build leadership and infrastructure around those standards of practice. So sales leaders are responsible for their agent population, but those sales directors and those sales leaders, they have the same goals, right? It's about competition and competing, but they're holding the agents accountable to corporate policies or your policies of what you want them to do. Operationally is very similar, right? But you have to have consistency or it'll all break. You can't have agents in Washington, D.C. at a 70-30 split and you have agents in Sacramento at an 85-15. Like it's all standardized. You want to get a higher split, achieve these milestones of production, and I will raise your split. But that's universal for any marketplace that we have. There's so many people on this call that create individual carve-outs with their agents. And what ends up happening is everybody becomes on this different plan and some people attend meetings, some don't. Like the more you let your business get away from you, the harder it is to control it. And what I've always said is, this is the way that I'm going to operate. Now, if you want to be a part of it, great, but this is my expectation. But if you don't want to do that, then we can't work together because I'm trying to build something and I want to build it my way. So being tough and having people understand your vision and the expectations is really important because a couple bad eggs can ruin your whole team.
Well, one of the things I love that you did with Rocket early on is you would pay an agent the same for a $170,000 deal, which was very difficult to cover up commission, as you would a $470,000 deal. Because you're like, Steve, I need the same experience for that. Because that Rocket client, whether he's buying his first home at 170 or his fourth home at 480, you wanted to create a similar experience. And I think that endeared you to the Rockets, the Zillows, the Veterans Uniteds of the world, because you really said, hey, I know that might not be as much money for me, but for that particular client buying their first home in Florence, Arizona, they wanted to have a great experience. And I think when you did that, do you think that kind of gave you a competitive advantage with all these folks as you grew nationally?
Well, I think there's two sides. I think you look at economics and then you look at quality. And so, for example, if you're on a variety of partnerships at our organization, you're on those partners. You don't get to say, well, I don't want this lead source anymore, or I don't want this anymore. Everyone would love our reload business. It closes at 70%. Unfortunately, you don't get to just say, I only want reload. You also don't, unfortunately, get to say, I only want 800,000 plus, because you can't build a model around that. Every client must be serviced. And so the idea and the concept is, it's an old ism that came from Rocket. It's every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses. It doesn't matter if you're buying a $150,000 home or a $10 million home, every client must be serviced. And so we have to make sure that our agents understand there's going to be good with the bad, but you got to service everybody. Otherwise, you're just a partner that wants only the cream of the crop, but you and everybody else. You can't run an organization that way when you talk about running referrals.
I love this. It was the same thing with the REO days. People would say, can I have the good REOs as opposed to taking, you're going to get, you said, houses with wire pulled out that are worth 150 and large quality homes at 800. Also, let's talk about recruiting a little bit. In the beginning, I felt like maybe you took who kind of came to you. They came to you, gravitated to a social media ad or something. I think you've gotten so much more intentional and so much more culture oriented with who you bring into your world now, the Jason Cadwells, the Brian Mitchells, the Shad Williamses, the people you're bringing in now, I feel like you're really targeting. I'll walk from an agent before I'll have any culture violation anyway. Is that kind of what's happened? How have you evolved in recruiting?
Well, for those on the call that do recruiting or want to add agents to your brokerage or your team, I've always led with, I would always ask myself a question, and that question is, why would somebody want to join JMG? Because if that's the case, and somebody wants to join our organization, I better have a better value prop than whoever I'm competing against. And what we lose sight of is what used to be high level resources and value is now the ante to play. I hear team leaders and broker owners all the time talking about, well, we train, we have coaching, we have CRM, we have good culture. And the reality is like, so do a lot of people. And so that's not separating you. What is separating you and making you unique for the people that you want to recruit? And to me, there's two sides to that. There is resources, which are those things. Think about when you put your pitch deck together to recruit agents, what does that pitch deck consist of? The pitch deck should consist of all the different segments of resources that you have at your disposal for your agents. And we're all different, but many of them that we all have are similar. We just do them differently. So I always call that, like, that's the cake. But the icing, for us at least, the icing on the cake is we can really help you grow your business. And I think we're in a place now where margins are so tight when you talk about broker margins, and it's really hard to make money because every agent now wants, I want 100% split and I don't want to pay a transaction fee. Okay, I guess I'm going out of business. And like,
I want to be 6'8" and play in the NBA. It doesn't happen all the time either.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look like Brad Pitt and you know, like, I mean, give me a break. Like, the reality is this, the more, this goes back to making concessions. What I find is that we let agents know we're not recruiting you here. This is an opportunity. If it's a fit, let's talk. But people recruit out of fear, and they feel like they got to make concessions. And when you start making concessions, it starts to break your whole model. If you're confident in what you've built and that you bring value and that what you have can help that person, stay true to your model. And also, a lot of times when you take something away from somebody, they really want it more. Well, I guess you're probably not a fit here because we don't do these things, but that's okay. It's good. I'm glad. Well, what do you mean? Whoa. I mean, yeah, I guess I don't need 90. I can go to 80% if you think you can give me X, Y. Well, yeah, we've already talked. See, like there's a psychology to having something of value that people want, but the more that you try to like pitch something or make, like, if I try to tell Steve you want this, he's going to say, why are you pushing this on me? If I try to tell Steve, I don't think I want to give this to you, why don't you want to give it to me? So like, there's mindset when you talk about scarcity and opportunity. And if you have that position of strength and you feel strongly in your conviction that what we have here is special, then you can hold true to your model and you can hold true to your values. But what we end up doing is we start recruiting people and we really sound desperate. Oh yeah, we'd love to have you. Please come on board. And then you come to find out they're very difficult to manage, or you're now catering to them because you look desperate from the beginning. And the reality is no, we do things a certain way here. So be smart about who you recruit and why you recruit them. Have an avatar for who you want to recruit. But the positioning of that pitch deck from resources to value proposition is very important to be able to explain to somebody as to why you want to join my organization and why we feel that we're unique in the marketplace. Because if you're just like everybody else, the only thing that matters is what's my split and what's my fees. If the value prop is identical down the street, the only thing that they're going to say is, what are my economics? And economics should come secondary to value. Economics are not first.
I've heard you say this more than once. Price is only an issue in the absence of value. And the truth is, you've worked very hard. Let's talk about how you taught this, and I love this. People say, well, I'm going to get 8 to 10 or 12 deals this year from you. You always taught them that no, those are 8 to 10 to 12 future referral partners for you. And your math is it something like 1 out of every 3 closings that you have on a JMG auspice opportunity creates 100% referral from that person who's bringing their family or their mom or their brother. So talk about how you built your business in Arizona. You didn't know anybody when you came here from Detroit, and you were able to, after the second year, move to almost 50-50 in the third and fourth year, 75-25 self-gen. Talk about that.
There's a lot to unpack there. So
I know.
What's cool about our organization, at least, is, and like many of you built it all, right? Like, we took no money. We didn't bring in private equity. We built this from one person, me, and then one other agent, and then another, and then another, and then another, and then another. And so when you talk about growing organically and really bootstrapping something and really building something to be proud of, we're very proud of that. And as you build your team, your brokerage, whatever it is, I mean, they're basically one and the same. It's important that you're going to make adjustments as you get bigger. A lot of people look at myself and they say, yeah, but that's easy for you to do. You're doing 7 billion a year in business, 14,000 transactions. You have money and revenue and I don't. Well, my always response to that is, but I didn't. I mean, we all came from something. So if you're sitting there as a team leader doing 100 million a year in production, at some point you were doing 1, 2, 5, 10, 30, 50, then you're at 100. If you're on this call and you're doing $1 billion, my point is, we've all been at some placement when you talk about transaction volume and transactions, and where the longevity of business building has come into play. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're always going to adjust. We build here. And even though we've gotten a lot bigger, we're still building. That never ends. But when you look at where you're at today, always remember, bigger isn't always better. I would argue most of you on this call don't want to be me. I mean, you might not want to run a national brokerage and, and kind of be where we're at. I never thought I'd be here. The business model allowed me to get here. And obviously I'm a very driven, determined person. I came from nothing and I like being successful. It's very important to me. I like being able to take care of my family. But the reality is that not everybody should aspire to do that, because when you decide that you're going to operate a team, and I've said this for so long, you are then deciding you come second. You're not first when you decide to have a team. They are. And so a lot of people have a hard time with that. A lot of people still focus on themselves, their own production, where they're at first, and then they look to the building the team. And that doesn't work. You have to give to others first, and then you get in return. Mr. DeLaviaga will be he's truly in business. He's one of the most important people in my life in business. And I mean that. I've known him for a long time, but what Steve knows about me is we have a very good balance of give and take. Steve brings me a lot of value, and I hope and I believe I bring him a lot of value. That's a partnership. A partnership is not you going out on tour 4 days a week and having agents in your office not having any business while they watch you fulfill your bucket of transactions. Those transactions have to be sent to them because you're not first. They are first. And so I say this because a lot of people get into leadership and become operators that should just stick to being great salespeople. Being a great salesperson is different than being a great operator.
Correct.
Honestly, many times they're not good operators. The evolution of like a loan officer, you guys have seen it. What they do is they say, I'm a very good salesperson. I want to open a branch. And then they go open up a Nova or a Fairway or a whatever in your local marketplace and become a retail operator of a franchise. And a lot of those fail, and they fail because they're not good operators. They think that's the evolution. It's the same thing in real estate. I'm a great producer. I need to start a team. No, you don't need to. What it should be is, I'm a great producer. I want to grow and I need components around me. But the components come from two places. It's either operational and administrative support to help you grow your business, or it's, I'm going to actually grow a team and get agents, buyer's agents, seller's agents, little staff around it. When you make that decision, it's now about them. If you want it to be about you and you growing your own personal production because you don't feel you want to manage people, because I'll tell you, anybody on this call that manages people, it is a pain in the ass. And it's just a fact. Like, you deal with so much bullshit every day that you're just like, I don't know how you tie your shoes. But guess what? That's just part of being the boss. You deal with adult babysitting constantly. What happens is, as you work your way through people, as you bring on people, you start to find some stars. Now, stars are hard to find. Good agents are easier, but you also mix in bad. You mix in those that are entitled, that feel like they are deserving of your time and all this because you owe them something for coming to you. See, that's a very strict boundary that you set when you bring somebody on board. Is it's a privilege to join our organization, not the other way around.
This is important, Jay. Let's get into this and we'll get into questions. You worked very hard at finding people you respected and trusted that were better business owners as you were becoming a business owner, because you were a world-class salesperson. You weren't born with this huge knowledge of how to run a $14 billion entity, but you've worked hard to do it. How much time and money do you spend working on yourself so you can be the leader you want to be to your network?
Well, there's a lot of things now that I don't know how it works anymore. You know, like as you grow, operational and staff expands, right? That's just part of scale. And then you get departmentalized. And once you become departmentalized, you start understanding, where do I need segments of departments? For us, as an example, we have accounting, we have marketing, we have processing, we have onboarding, we have recruiting, we have training and development, we have, what else do we have?
Mission control?
Mission control. We have Relo. So we have silos of our business that people are the CEOs of that silo, right? Our vice presidents. And they're responsible for that. And those VPs roll up to executives, right? But I wasn't even there 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't have this. Like, I've had some departments, but a lot of times you wear a lot of hats as you're growing, and most of you probably do. What I've learned is that there's certain things I'm good at and there's certain things I'm not good at. When I focus on what I'm not good at, I make sure to ask questions, because sometimes you still have to work on it, even though you're not that good at it. You try to get better. The things I'm good at is just natural. But you need leaders around you that follow your vision and guidance and understand that they're the worker bee. You're the visionary. Now, as you grow, you got to do some of that work. I promise you, I've done a lot of it. But as you get bigger, there's people that like what I always say is this: if I have you in a role, I have to trust the process that you're good at what you do. Otherwise, I shouldn't have you in that role. It's the same thing when it comes to my leaders across the country. When I partner with somebody to run a marketplace, I'm trusting the fact that they're going to do a great job managing that market center. A lot of times they do, and sometimes they don't. But you can be exposed very easily to success or non-success. And that's when we start to have discussions. But I'm also very fair. And so I give people the benefit of the doubt until time has told me you can't do it anymore, right? Like, the ability to let people manage what we call their own business, like Jason on this call, I don't get involved in his business. If he needs my help and support, he has it. I'm trusting that he's building a great branch up there, a great marketplace up there, not for me, for us. If he wins, I win. And if we're doing better, he'll do better. But we have to trust the process of our leadership team. Otherwise, there's no point of having leaders in the first place. But that's where we make a lot of mistakes. We make mistakes because we promote people to be leaders that have no business being promoted to being leaders in the first place. So you got to be very careful with who you put in charge, because I've made that mistake many times where it's just it's the wrong leader. It's not for you. But that's becoming like when you get to a world as an entrepreneur and a business owner where you don't need to pander to anybody anymore. No, this is my decision. It is what it is. And we're going to find somebody else and grow because it's the right thing to do. Like you become very numb to sensitivity, very numb to sensitivity. Like I will not, like, this is all business. This is not personal. Like if you're not succeeding, it's very black and white to me. I'm not sensitive to your feelings. I'm not, and that's hard for people because a lot of people that are probably on this call are like, no, let's give them a little bit more time. Let's try that. And what happens is you have tried so much to help that person, yet they still are not helping themselves. That's the problem. You're dedicating too much time for them. You want them to be successful more than they want to be successful. And that can't happen. You should be too busy for that.
You cannot save people from themselves. All right, couple tacticals. I know you've got tech stack. I love your tech stack. Talk about what you're doing with AI. I know you've done a great job on social, a ton the last 3 to 6 months. What are you doing with AI? And if you're an agent on the call, where should they be using it more and more? What are you seeing work on the AI side?
Contracts can be helpful for your agents. We're working very closely with a company called Max Home right now. They're not in every state. But it's really good for like ease of contract writing and contract clearing on the broker side of things. That's a good one. Positioning our prospecting portals around using AI to let you know who's coming, like, for example,
kind of doing this. Yeah. Who's raising their hand a little bit.
Yeah. Like there's, when somebody goes out there and gets their credit pulled or they've been on Zillow a lot, they're probably more likely to transact, right? And so we have tools that are shuffling our prospecting. So if you got 50 people in your prospecting pipeline, we're not there yet. We're continuing to build on it, but we want to be able to tell our agents, these are the ones you should probably stay in front of, not these ones, because it makes prospecting easier, right? Agents still got to do the work.
Do you like Fellow for that? Do you use Fellow for that at all?
I don't.
I love Fellow. Yeah, similar bubble up. All right. You have so many lead sources, and you really have a lot of referral sources, not even lead sources. The DVD piece you've done a great job with. You use that with your ISAs, and you really, again, qualify that into that niche of they're in distress, but they have home equity. It's not a short scenario, but you see that distress building, and the only way out is the home equity.
Yeah.
With your ISAs, when do they hand that to an agent? When do you know that that's a good referral / qualified lead? How does that look to you?
Well, let's start with the why you have to do it this way.
Yeah.
The reason you have to scrub it is you will become a lazy business owner because your agents will eventually say, I don't even want your leads anymore. Because all you're doing is just, here's one. And you're making them do all of the work. And then you're going to take a cut on that. And eventually agents are going to say, I don't even want this anymore. Like, stop giving me this stuff because it's too much effort. So where you create value out of the program is somebody is scrubbing, getting commitment, then sending to an agent, because now they have a much more higher likelihood to close it, and they'll work every lead that's sent to them because it's been scrubbed. You cannot send referrals out that have not been scrubbed or vetted. Like realtor.com top of funnel stuff. Can't do it. There's a reason OpCity can't get a lot of people on their program anymore because they have a 1.5% conversion ratio, maybe a little bit less. Agents don't even want it anymore. You got to scrub it. And so there's referrals like we have, the majority of them that don't need to be scrubbed because the partner's scrubbing them for you. And then there's programs like this, which is a huge value to have access to this information, but you got to make sure your process is set up correctly. So when an opportunity comes, you have scripting, you have someone calling, there's scripting, and then there's distribution. The distribution is after you get commitment from that consumer, it then gets sent out to the agent that's most appropriate to work it with notes and when to call that person. And now you have a true appointment, right? But there's better ways to do it than not. If you allow your agents to just call randomly or just give them it all and hopefully they find some gold in there, you'll create burnout of the program.
I love it. Do me a favor too, because you hear that the leads suck. In your world, not every agent do you send leads to. You've got 900 50-ish, almost 1,000 agents, but not all of them are eligible for leads because quite frankly, not everybody should be a lead game. True or true?
Yeah, I don't know. We have like, I think 1,200 or so agents, about 800 of those get referrals. It's probably in that ballpark. I don't know the exact number. That's the traditional side where agents just like our resources, but it's very important to understand this. If you run two models, which I encourage folks to do, like Mr. Cadwell does in Oregon, you have agents that get referrals, and then you have agents that do not. The ones that do not, you have to give them better economics because the value prop is not as strong that you have. The ones that do get referrals, you can take higher splits from them. You can take higher fees from them because you're helping them grow their business. And so I think it's important. What I've learned over the past several years is we don't just have one model, we have two. We have models where we have traditional, which is your traditional brokerage with resources and higher splits and fees. And then we have the referral model that consists of us taking more and charging more. But what's nice is when you got both going, you start to see who's performing on the traditional side. And if they want to come to the referral side and they seemingly are good agents, it's like your bullpen. You can call them up to the big leagues when they're ready. Some people don't want to do it, and that's fine. But the ones that are participating and doing well, and you have that opportunity because you need more agent coverage, that's a great place to be.
I love that. We got a bunch of single agents on our call, people that are kind of starting it, doing it themselves. The question is, well, how do you create leverage? Well, you can do that with a VA. You can do that with a good CRM. You can do that with a company like Fellow who will help bubble up. What Jason's saying is this: if you're just going to take organic top of funnel leads and try to make you all of it, you can do that for a period of time, just like you could do. They call it 75 hard, not 365 days hard, because there's a lifetime to that where you won't want to do that anymore. But to start off, you may have to do the work such that you learn, oh, this is when this customer and consumer is now ready for going to the next level. On the scripting side, I think this is important. Jay, you have different thought tracks and scripts for basically every different type of lead, from reload to VU to DVD to multiple types. And how do you develop your thought tracks and scripts within each of those lead lines?
Well, I wrote a lot of them because it's important. Scripting is so critical. I mean, look, if the scripting's wrong, everything is
Doesn't matter
if the scripting's wrong, right? And so whether you're calling or somebody else is calling, it's important that you have a good script. There's the intro version, there's the reason for calling version, there's the, like, when you break down a script, there's components to a script that you break it down, right? And for us, every partner is different. So you got to build scripting around the partnership. What is important is that if you're not the one dialing, someone's listening to whoever is dialing, because you're going to have to train them. You want to make sure they do things the right way. Attitude, people can hear it in your voice. Like monotone, like I don't want to talk to somebody on the phone that's, "Hi, Mr. DeLaviaga, my name is Jason Mitchell. Calling today, I hear that you're in trouble on your house." Like who, you know what I mean?
You're not paying credit card bills. Can we talk about real estate?
Well, when you talk about DVD leads, there's more sensitivity to that dial than there are general leads, right? Like every source is a little bit different. In this case, the source is sensitivity and compassion because they're going through something. And so it's very important that if you or a person dialing on your behalf is understanding to the situation that this person is going through, whether it be divorce, whether it be losing their house. Like, look, Mr. Cadwell, the reason I'm calling today, and I'm sure you might get calls, but I want to be very clear. My goal today is to not try to sell you on using us to sell your house. It's to walk you down the path of how we're going to help you and why we want to help you. Wow, no one's ever said that to me before, right? Like the way that we approach our tone, what we're saying and how we're saying it. It's like anything in real estate. It's not what you say, it's when you say these things. If I'm talking about the inspection ahead of time, about items that are going to come up, and this is how we're going to address them and go over them, and we're going to get over the Binzer and everything's going to be A-okay. If I discuss that prior to doing the inspection, I'm good. If I do it afterwards and my client's like, "Holy shit, there's 55 items on this house. This house is a disaster. Cancel the contract. Oh my God." That's because you didn't foreshadow it. They freaked out because you didn't foreshadow this. If I would have said that in the beginning, you would have been prepared for what you're about to see. It's the same thing with scripting. We want to prepare the consumer about our discussion, but also be able to, in this case, with this type of person, this consumer, have a sense of compassion about what we're saying to them and not come at them as somebody that's just, hey, I saw you were looking for a house on Main Street. How, it's a great home. How can I help you? Like a Zillow script is much different than somebody that's on Steve's program. So make sure you're building more compassion behind what somebody's saying and sensitivity to that person, because they're going to be more apt to want to have a discussion with you.
I love it. We're at the end now, and thank everybody for doing this. I went over with Jason because you can see why. I just think he's one of the most brilliant minds in real estate. Jay, give us a mark of the moment. The next 9 months or so, what are you looking at? What catches your eye? What do you think are important components and things you've got to be thinking about as this mark of the moment continues to build? I know we have tariffs and stuff and rates. What are you looking at? What is in your mind the next 9 months?
Yeah, macro wise, market is very crazy. I think we see more and more consolidation in our industry. A lot of it. I think that continues to be a thing, big time. Because like, even if you're on this call and you're a team leader in some of these markets that we want to get into, or a broker owner, like let's have a discussion, because Mr. Cadwell can attest, we will put together a program where you're like, that seems to just make sense to me. Like we want to be part of that M&A world as well, in the right places. And so I'm going to selfishly throw us out there as somebody that would love to bring on more team leaders and broker owners in the right places. But you're going to see a lot of consolidation. Secondly, from macro approach, from an economic side of things, look, we can't control what happens in the rate environment in the macro world. You can't. So don't try to. The only thing that you can control is effort and building for what you have. Like, don't think that the growth of your business is going to occur when a market shift occurs, because that market shift could be 18 months to 2 years away.
Correct.
Like, we're not going gangbusters in the next 6 months. Don't expect it. Don't think about it. Don't think like, hey, our numbers are down, but by the end of the year, they're going to be way up there because the market's going to change significantly. It's not. You have to keep building and getting better with efficiencies. You have to make sure you're continuing to enhance your value prop. You have to make sure right now, because transactions are lower, that every past client that you've ever worked with, you're staying in touch with. Hey, just touch, like that mechanism of outreach to people that have already had a good experience with you cannot be overstated enough how important it is. That's where the wheelhouse comes into play of friends and family. You got to work that angle in slow times, people that you've worked with in the past. So just be diligent about how you're structuring your business model and your business plan right now. Like, what is my business plan to drive more business? Stay in front of past clients. Make sure I'm prospecting at every means necessary. That doesn't necessarily mean buying leads. That means open houses. That means going on social platforms, prospecting, putting yourself out there, past clients, trying to create new relationships and partnerships to drive more business. These are 3 core fundamental things that everybody needs to be working on. And then by happenstance, if the market happens to change in our favor, then now you're even more prepared, but you'll get even more business.
Love it, man. I appreciate you. I love the time you gave us. Thank you, brother. I'm so proud and happy to be in business with you. And I can't wait to see where you're at 12 months from now, because I know it won't be the same. And this is important for people on the call. Real estate is binary. It does never stays the same. You're going to lose some agents. You better add some agents. There's no just trying to maintain. Either you're going forward or you're backwards. And I love your momentum, brother. And I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.